of Ocean and Ecology Department. So ready to hear you.
Cool, thank you very much, and thanks to Nkani, Kate and Natalie for having me today. So my talk's going to be a bit different. I'm not going to talk about my particular background, which is in kind of earthquake science normally, but I'm going to talk about an event that I was on the committee for, I helped organise, which happened at the end of last year. And it was Black in Geosciences Week. So it was like this viral social media global event, which I think showcased intersectionality, which I think is important for us to think about when we're thinking about women and girls in science. It's about thinking about you can be a woman and there's lots of other things as well, which makes life more difficult. So anyway, just a quick kind of definition about what intersectionality is. I thought that this diagram by Sylvia Duckworth really highlights what it means very clearly. So, and Kimberly Crenshaw basically describes intersectionality as, she says, intersectionality is a lens through which you can see where power comes and collides, where it locks and intersects. It's the acknowledgement that everyone has their own unique experiences of discrimination and privilege. So what it's saying is that you've got all of these kind of interlocking features of yourself, which cause you to be marginalized. So all of us here on the panel are women. So that's one thing that we find which marginalizes ourselves and makes us, especially in the science space, minoritized. But also there's other things which can make you further more marginalized. For example, class, gender identity, your language. So English as a first language is kind of the main sort of like language in like the academia space. So sometimes there's discrimination on that, race, ethnicity, all kinds of things. So intersectionality is thinking in terms of more than one kind of factor. So that's basically what that is. So thinking about intersectionality in geosciences, in general, women only make up 22% of the STEM workforce, which is not enough, and I absolutely hate, but that's the reality at the moment. So women taking geology degrees specifically is about 40% at the moment, which is not quite parity, but it's kind of getting there. And as Nkani said before, the pipeline is leaky. So as you progress up the academic stage towards professor, you get less and less women in those roles. And the good thing about our school that I found out that is that the school was awarded the Silver Athena Swan Award. So it means that there is progress being made towards equality and like parity in geosciences. But there's still a lot to go. I'm not saying that there's not more work to be done. There's definitely work to be done. However, progress hasn't been made in other areas for other marginalized groups. So there was a study in the US that basically found that there was little to no progress in 40 years in the proportion of BAME, which is Black and Asian and minority ethnic people in the US geosciences. And we know that the UK is quite a similar story, like in terms of non-white geoscience researchers, the numbers haven't improved over the past 40 years, or not improved much. Also, lots of fieldwork remains inaccessible, which is important to consider for disabled students and researchers. There's still like fieldwork to locations where LGBTQ plus researchers is still criminalized. So that's something that's been quite a hot topic in the past couple of years. So it's showing that as a woman, if you have an additional factor which marginalizes you, it can make life more difficult. So for me as a Black woman, I already have the problems of, you know, being a woman in science, but then I'm a Black woman in science. So it's like extra. So yeah, but anyway, so this is where Big Week comes in. So Black in Geoscience Week, which was in September last year. Basically, the way it came out is that there were loads of other viral weeks, like on Twitter, which followed other, so this followed other movements. So there was one called Black in the Ivory, Black Birders Week, which basically looked at people who went birding, who went looking for birds and everything. So the cool thing about this project is that we kind of all got together online. So it was a multidisciplinary team there were Black scientists, there were white scientists, all ethnicities, women, men, but mostly women. And it was entirely online. So we organized this week where we had loads of activities showcasing the richness of researchers and Black researchers across the world. And yeah, we had live academic talks, all kinds of things. It was really fun. But key thing is it highlighted the need for inclusivity and equity in environmental sciences. And the week was pretty successful. Like, we had about 6 million Twitter impressions. That means how many people that saw our posts, and quite a bit of engagement. So so we got a lot of kind of feedback that people found it really useful, inspiring, could see themselves. Because as people have said before, sometimes if you can't see yourself in a role or see someone older than you that like looks like you, is a woman, is Black, is you know, however you identify, it's hard to see yourself in the future in that role. So it's important for that. So just some lessons learned and some recommendations. All the committee members felt empowered through empowering others. We raised kind of profiles of people up, and that made us feel like we had more power, and we felt like just amazing just to be able to put a platform that made so much like the kind of made so much noise. Because in conferences now they're talking about the week. I'm giving a presentation at an American conference about the week. Like, it's made quite a bit of difference. But it also highlighted that there's a lack of men taking part in equality, diversity, and inclusion work in general. A lot of it is put on women, because our panel there was only one man on the panel. So we need kind of, you know, we need both sides to, because it's an issue for all of us. If we don't have diversity there, we don't have a mixture of voices. But also, we weren't perfect. So the first video we made was very inaccessible. We didn't have any subtitles on. So we've kind of learned how to, like, from our experience of running the event now. And just a couple of recommendations. So when considering outreach to women and girls, also try and consider intersectionality if you can, because that way you're also improving access to other marginalized groups. And I know lots of people say, like, how can I help? What can I do to help this? And what I'd say is support groups that are already doing the work. In environmental sciences and earth sciences, there's loads of different groups that are kind of there. And we know that there's the Earth Science Women's Network. There's also Geoscience for the Future, and like Unlearning Racism in Geoscience, Diversity in Geoscience, that you can all kind of get involved in. And they always ask for student and staff members as well. So I'll leave you with these, and yeah, thanks for having me.